lose, I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NFL The Betting Blitz. It is NFL Week 10, Sunday, November 9th, 2025. The Shark and Mikey Money. We are back round 3. We got a game going on live in Berlin right now. We are live Eastern Coast, USA. I'll say it every week. I see you East. I see you West. Get up, get some coffee, hang out with us. We got a nice card today. 11 games. We are back to dominate. Mike, what's going on, brother?
Ready to fire, man. This is an opportunity to dominate. It's week 10. We got live football right now. Nothing could be better than a glorious NFL Sunday. And man, we've been running hot. So we got to keep it going today. We got to get this energy moving in the right direction, you guys. Make sure you smash that thumbs up. Get in here. Get up. Get ready. Get set. We're going to give you guys a full 50-minute breakdown across the board here, maybe a few more minutes, and cover every single NFL game with some best bets to boot. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you throw your best bets in the chat. Let's go.
Absolutely. Our guy says, not the guy that's going to be selling me cars. We're not selling anything. We're talking about football, and it is an opportunity to dominate. Sundays are for the Sharps. We have a lot of games to discuss, and we are not waiting around. What a card opens in Chicago. Giants at Bears. Giants coming into this game, getting absolutely shellacked in the last 9 quarters. We're up significantly in Denver 3 weeks ago. 33 points later, not so much. 2 blowouts removed, Philly and last week at home against the Niners. Traveling to Chicago off a win in Cincinnati, 89 points in the game. We told you guys last week, take it over. This is going to be a weather game. Mike, we're opening up the broadcast. I'm in Florida. You're sitting inside. I wouldn't want to be at Soldier Field today. What are we looking at? Under in this game?
I can't imagine it looks much different than when I look outside my window right now. Gray skies, it's windy, it's crazy. And look, we got some cash coming in now. It's coming in on those Bears. You know, monster points. Great call from you last week, talking about the over in this spot there. And it certainly was over twice over the score. 53% of the bets, 52% of the cash are in on the Bears. And this total somehow has gone up from 43.5 to 45.5. You have 66% of the bets, 61% of the cash on the over in this spot. And you nailed it, my guy. This is a weather game. And I've talked about this before. It's not the snow. It's not the rain that bothers these quarterbacks. It's the wind. And we saw this evidenced on Thursday night, that Denver Broncos game, a disgusting display of football, but a solid under. You saw when they put the ball down to mark it on the field, it rolled like 2 yards sideways. So it's, what we're looking at here are steady gusts in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range out there. It should be a mixture of the rain, the sleet, the snow. It doesn't stop the postman, but I do think it stops this Giants and Bears game from getting this total. 606 to 452 are the unders when they've got a high wind situation out there. I expect an under 45.5, and I think this number, probably an overreaction without contributing or acknowledging what the weather looks like in this game. So give me the under 45.5, Shark.
Yeah, I mean, this team has been all over it. This game was actually graded at 48.5 midweek. I was looking at it last night. I was actually wondering what the hell is going on here. I'm not glued to the Weather Channel, admittedly, but I did find this weather to be very interesting. This is definitely going to be a handcuff to the offense in this game. And if you look at last week, I think this really is just a sell high on Chicago. As I said, 89 points, 47-42. It's your classic road game against Cincinnati, who plays no defense. Joe Flacco just chucking the ball around the yard like he has zero fear, and why would he? But nonetheless, a ton of points. You want to sell this. Final point of this game, Jackson Dart, earlier in his very small career here, road game at the Superdome in New Orleans. 5 turnovers. That was inside in a nice, warm dome in New Orleans. This is outdoor, the rain and the wind. This is going to be a turnover-heavy game. The Bears have actually created turnovers at an alarming rate of efficiency this year against NFC East opponents. They have played Washington and Dallas being at Soldier Field, +7 turnovers against NFC East opponents and +8 turnovers at home against out-of-division NFC opponents. That includes a game against the Saints. Under's the best look in this game. Guys, if you're going to the game, get a whiskey, get a vodka. Mike certainly likes that. Drink, enjoy, take the under. It might be boring, but let's cash. Next game on the card, big-time stuff in Minnesota. Same division, different dynamic. Ravens on the road, out of conference ball. And truly, that's where this conversation begins. Lamar Jackson, coming out of Louisville, 2018. Who would have thought this guy would dominate the NFC at the rate he has? The mainstream media rarely picks up on anything sharp. The one thing they have reported in this game, Lamar dominates the NFC. I miss the Ravens spot. Mike, any thoughts?
Yep, we'll look at the numbers. We'll see what the public's got going on with this spot here. And to me, this is a tricky scenario because there's a lot of love. I heard some sharp love for this Minnesota Vikings team. Not difficult to fall in love with what they did last week. And yeah, JJ McCarthy, you and I talked about it backstage. Go look at the stat line from last week and the week before. They are identical. Reminds me of one of my favorite movies. Identical out there. And my cousin Vinny, 57% of the bets, 60% of the cash are on the Baltimore Ravens. This line starting to tick up a little bit. We're starting to see some 4.5s. Now you got 46.5 is the total. It's moved as high as 49, 72% of the bets, 85% of the cash. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. There's a reason that the Ravens are still factored in there to win the AFC. They're still odds on to get there to the AFC championship game, whether it be Buffalo or Kansas City. I guess time will tell. A lot of people starting to fall in love with Kansas City, albeit they took a step back last week, and that's a different story for a different day. I'm looking at the first half in this game. I want to get in and out of this thing. You talked about the dominance, and maybe there's some second half adjustments that get made when it comes to that Minnesota side of things here. But how about this? Yes, healthy, full strength team on the Baltimore Ravens side of things. And furthermore, you look at this across the board, what happens in these, you gotta contain, Lamar Jackson. You got to blitz him. You got to get him off his feet. You got to get him uncomfortable. And the ironic part is that's where he excels. Maybe that goes back to his Louisville days where he was running in 100 touchdowns because he couldn't pass the ball. That being said, though, these boys have a propensity to go out there and dominate first halves. Aaron Jones is, I believe, the reason that they were able to lean on this guy last week. A mediocre stat line, but still 2 passing touchdowns for JJ McCarthy. On the flip side, Aaron Jones got hurt again. So, what are you going to do when it comes down to it in this game? I think it takes them a little while to get going. I think if you're the Ravens, you want to come out here quickly. You want to hit him in the face, and then you want to kind of step back a little bit out there. Road favorites, Lamar Jackson, 28-10 against the spread, covering. The margin is the key point. He's covering by over 5 points a game in those first halves out there. And at the end of the day, look, Lamar Jackson, 61, 36, and 2, covering by more than a field goal overall in the games. I think it's a strong-looking Lamar Jackson game. You talked about it, but I'm going to go with the first half. I got a -2.5 in the first half in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with the first half. Obviously, talking about Lamar's efficiency, he's actually been fairly notorious in the last few years for being so good in the first half and having really egregious melts. One game off the top of my head at the NFC, last year, early season at Dallas, Lamar and the boys were up significantly going into the fourth quarter, almost gave the entire game back before winning 28-25, covering the spread -1.5. But as I mentioned, this is just where you want to buy Lamar consistently at the NFC. 7-1 ATS last 8. The bigger sample is equally as dominant dating back to his rookie year in 2018. But I think zooming into this actual game, this is fantastic stuff to buy Baltimore. And I have written down here, this is an incredibly unique buy. My guy's talking about cars. This is like a 1956 Mustang Mint. It's that unique. And truly, what's going on here? You're getting a team that has Super Bowl aspirations that started the season 3-5 and really looked like they were out of the race. So what you're getting here is a team that is bringing legit AFC championship motivation to regular season football in week 10. It's rare you get an environment like this with this quality of a team, with this level of motivation at this point in the season. And truly, this is a buy low on the road. 1-2 ATS, key point losses at Buffalo and Kansas City, not this. And final point on this is where you want to sell Minnesota. This is only J.J. McCarthy's 4th career start, and we're already seeing noticeable patterns. 2 road games in his career, both in the division, both wins at Chicago and last week at Detroit by the exact same score, 27-24. Well done, J.J. Only home game in his career outside of the division, 22-6 loss against Atlanta as a small favorite. Now a dog. This is a huge spot. I see a double-digit win. Buy it, live it, love it, and let's dominate. Next game on the card, slightly less interesting game here in New York. I should say East Rutherford, New Jersey. MetLife Stadium, 1 o'clock. Browns at Jets. This is a garbage game. There's no way around it. 2-6 versus 1-7. I saw my guy Guns the other day talking about Middle Tennessee State in college football. We like contrarian spots. I certainly do. I know Mike does, and he has one coming up for you guys in about 20 minutes. This is just garbage, however. This is not good contrarian. The Jets stink. Cleveland's terrible on the road. Mike, anything in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to dive into it. It stinks. You got to close your nose and go. I mean, look, first and foremost, 59% of the bets are on the Browns, 34% of the cash on the Brown side of things here. It's gone from a dog to a favorite, and that's predominantly because the Sharps were taking the Browns all week long. They moved them up to 2. It got as high as 2.5, and then we started seeing that immediacy in the buyback on that marketplace. So they're thinking this game's a coin flip. You know, we got a total that's gone from 40.5 to 37.5. 56% of the bets are on the over, but 51% of the cash is on the under. Don't disagree with this being a lower scoring game. Problem for me right now is, yeah, the Jets just kind of waved the white flag. They traded Sauce Gardner. We see him living his life in Germany right now on this Indianapolis Colts game. They made a bunch of moves out there, and this locker room seems to be completely broken. The ownership fading on Justin Fields out there, and yet he's got to go back in because they got no other options. The kicker for me was I saw Breece Hall zooming around. He's getting a ton of shit in the media and the fans about his intensity is just not there. His focus just isn't there. And then what comes out is social media pictures of this guy riding a go-kart around the locker room and the facilities. Busted team. Your leadership is sour. Nobody believes in anything that's going on out there. And hey, not for nothing. Yeah, I'm not a huge Dylan Gabriel guy, but on the other side of the ball here, you do have a stout defense on this Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to take a shot with the Browns on the money line. It's a minus 130. I'm not going to fall in that trap that I took last week with the Jaguars minus 2.5 that got me in overtime. Just give me the money line. Give me the Browns to win. It's a fair price tag at minus 130 for what I believe is a completely broken organization.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like my first take in this game when I handicapped it was the Browns. I think the standout point for me is the Browns are 0-5 ATS, road or neutral. That does include a game in London, loss against Minnesota. But key point, significant underdog in every game. Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore, Detroit, Minnesota. First-time favorite. It should tell you a bit of a strength reversal here towards Cleveland. I also think Cleveland just has more to play for. They have better charisma. I think Dylan Gabriel at least is going to get next season as the quarterback before they potentially move on. Of course, NFL football, the revolving door of quarterbacks. Cleveland most noteworthy, about 35 quarterbacks in the last 20 years. They're not going to be patient with you, Dylan. So you better get it done now. This is his opportunity to do it. And as you mentioned, this is just the Jets gutted. I almost feel bad for Aaron Glenn. I mean, Aaron Glenn comes over here from the Lions. Lions are a team, aspiring to the Super Bowl. Incredible energy in the locker room. All of a sudden, he's leading this Jets team 1-7. The ownership doesn't trust. The ownership is horrible at player personnel decisions, self-questions in the media. Woody Johnson, just keep your mouth shut, dude. Nobody needs to hear that you don't trust yourself. You don't know what you're doing. Come on, bro. Way to instill a total lack of confidence in the group. Justin Fields, in my opinion, at this point, is basically campaigning to become a preacher because every press conference he's talking about God, religion, trust. Listen, I'm with it. I love trust, respect. But, dude, focus on football a little bit, bro. I think we're going to be seeing this guy talking on stage in 2 years about the Lord. I don't see him playing on Sunday in 2 years. Honestly, I do think this is a Cleveland spot. The only thing that holds me towards the Jets here in some capacity, it's professional football. These guys are pros. They will compete in theory. The Jets actually did win their last game, as we told you they would, at Cincinnati pre-bye. Maybe momentum. I don't know. Just a nice little rant. Mike likes the Browns. I wouldn't disagree. And let's move on to bigger and better things. Next game on the card, also out of division football on this Sunday involving an AFC East team, Patriots at Bucs. Great matchup here, 1 o'clock, Raymond James in Tampa. Patriots are 7-2 straight up, 6-0 straight up last 6. Last week, Mike said correctly on this show, take Atlanta plus 5.5. Patriots 24, Falcons 23. Ultimately, the law of averages would suggest this is where the Patriots lose. Bunch of wins in a row, bad teams, almost lost last week, kind of cratering down. Mike, I think you like the Bucs today.
Yeah, I mean, 58% of the number, 58% of the bets, 52% of the cash are on the Pats. It's moved from plus 4.5 to 2.5. It does feel to me like this is just a little letdown spot with these boys here. I wouldn't be surprised to see points. You got the Bucks coming into this thing. They're coming in off the bye, so they got to be fired up and ready to roll. They're getting healthy, reasonably speaking. And then on the other side of things here, you got some key injuries. Ramondre Stevenson out for the Patriots. That's their goal line vulture that likes to punch the ball in there. You also got Booty, the wide receiver galore. That's kind of mediocre on the season, but he's going to be out of this game as well. So I think this is a great prop game. You got a lot of 48.5 on the number with a lot of cash coming in here saying that this game goes over the total, but I like the Bucks in this thing at the -2.5. Look, I think this is an opportunity for a couple of different spots to get involved with. One, Rachaad White, I think his rushing yards, despite the situation, that's something that the Patriots do really well is shut that run down. Even though Bucky Irving's going to be a non-factor in this game here, I still don't want to get excited with the White side of things. Demario Douglas is the guy that you have to look at in the replacement of Booty. 4 receptions on 6 targets last week. You can get his reception number at 3.5. I like him for touchdowns. And then, of course, the rookie extraordinaire on the side of the on the side of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How can you not like what that rookie's doing out there? He's got good chemistry early. Igbuke. I believe it's Egbuka. I can't say his name yet, but I'm sure at one point down the road, we'll see this guy with 562 yards and 5 touchdowns. He'll become a household name at some point. I like him to get a touchdown as well. So lots of ways to get the props, but I'm with you on this Buck side of things.
Yeah, again, just to reiterate, you have to look at the schedule on teams like this. These teams that the Pats have beaten, I mean, New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland, it's really just the bottom, 5% in the league, really. I mean, this is really bottom level football they're cleaning up on. Obviously, they did beat Buffalo in Buffalo. We're not going to tell you that was unimpressive. That was a great win, but I just think there's a little bit of a market cap on the Patriots here. I haven't gotten there for one reason. I have this game graded to be super tight on the line. I think if the Bucs win, they win by 2 or 3 points. Mike and I were talking about this before the show, but in the last 2 years, Baker has 4 games at home against AFC opponents. He laid a touchdown to Bo Nix early season last year. He laid a little over a touchdown to the Raiders late season last year. He was an underdog mid-season to Lamar Jackson last year in prime time. Shout out to Lamar Jackson on the road at the NFC. And earlier this year, -7.5, 8.5 against the Jets with Tyrod Taylor. Point being, 3 games as a touchdown or more favorite, 1 as an underdog. Nothing in this range, small favorite. I think what that means by the books is the books actually think this is going to be an incredibly tight game. The over is the best look in this game for me. I don't really have any more, but we'll keep it moving. Next game on the card, first divisional game we're going to discuss of 5 on this Week 10 Sunday. Saints traveling to Carolina, NFC South football. Crazily enough, when we were looking at this a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said this would be the worst game on the card. All of a sudden, the Panthers are off a win at Green Bay, actually over 500 on the campaign. Bryce Young, far removed from the days when people said he was the biggest bust, potentially in NFL history. He literally had no confidence. He couldn't do anything, this, and that. Kid is playing ball. Tyler Show, start 2 for the Saints. Mike, we have a little disagreement here, but conversation will win. You're back in Tyler Show on the road.
I got to go with my Saints in this. They're not my Saints, but I'm going to go with the Saints today. 72% of the bets, 76% of the cash on the Panthers. It's gone from 4.5 to 5.5. 67% of the bets, 65% of the cash on the over. It's come down 5 full points. 5 points, that's pretty significant movement. Do suggest a lower scoring game. It makes sense. You've got a situation with divisional opponents playing head-to-head. This time of the year, in the months of November and December, a widely renowned unders, 193 and 134 in favor of the unders when you've got November, December, outdoor divisional games. Lower scoring. And if it's lower scoring, I got to trust the kid to be able to hang into this thing here. Last week, he was definitely put out there ablaze by going onto the road in the Rams. Now, you and I talked about this, and you said, and I think it's a great point. He's still in a bad situation because he's, now he's got another road game without that stop at home. He's a new guy to the NFL. Is it really a home situation for him out there? Now, for me, the team around him has the ability to show that familiarity with the divisional foe. And so the game plan, you got a new guy throwing the ball, but look, Spencer Rattler wasn't lighting the world on fire. It's not like this guy was a Tom Brady-esque or a Drake May situation. So can he be serviceable? Can he manage this game? Can he keep it within a touchdown out there? I think so. I'm not sure that they go out there and shock the world, but look, the Panthers, what a letdown spot. They just went and shocked the world by taking down the Green Bay Packers last week in Lambeau. I think this is a potential. Don't get up. Don't get excited for it here. Plus 5.5. I'm going to take the points in my back pocket here. Minus 105 too. Seems like a reasonable number.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, since we've been doing the show, obviously week 3 here, we've been nailing these contrarian sides. I mean, we were one of the only shows, I think, anywhere in the world that told you the Jets could possibly win outright at the Bengals 2 weeks ago. So I'm definitely totally with it in terms of intelligent contrarianism. I just disagree here, and I think it's what you said. I don't know if the environment improves here. Yeah. Obviously, last week, we did tell you guys take the Rams minus 14 to cover in the game to go under, which it did. We did go 2-0 betting the Saints last week in LA. You get your ass kicked at the Rams. Start one, Sean McVay, ex-Super Bowl winning coach, great defense. Now you stay on the road, a divisional game. For me, that doesn't get easier. If anything, they don't really go home. They're kind of traveling in and out all week. A lot of moving parts, very rushed. And they go to Carolina, who honestly, when I was handicapping this, I was actually surprised to see this. This is an elite ATS team under Bryce Young since week 9 last year. 14-4 last 18 ATS. And even going back to when Bryce Young was, as I said, potentially the worst quarterback ever in his rookie year, he is actually 4-1-1 career at home in the division. And for me, that speaks to his pedigree. Alabama, Saban. Yep. He just values divisional home games more, even when he wasn't playing very good football. His only non-cover at home in the division in his career was week 18 in 2024. It was actually his rookie year. That was the 2023 season. 9-0 loss to the Bucks and Baker Mayfield. Point being, Carolina was 2-15 at that point. It was the last game of the season. They had absolutely nothing going, and it was like 30 degrees or less in Carolina. This is the polar opposite. This is not fledgling Bryce Young year 1 as a dog. This is Tyler Show fledgling year 1 as a dog. For me, it completely flips. And I just think it's a really tough spot for the Saints here. I like the Panthers. Mike likes the Saints. We'll have a beer later and talk about it. Let's dominate. Next game on the card, more divisional football. This time going to Houston, NRG Stadium in Houston, 1 o'clock. That is noon, I believe, Central Time. Jags at Texans, round 2. You saw this matchup earlier this year in Jacksonville, 17-10 Jags. Impressive win against C.J. Stroud. Enter Davis Mills. And this is where I think this becomes a strong Jacksonville spot. You don't want to back Davis Mills in any capacity. I'm looking towards the Jags. Mike, any thoughts?
Man, playoff potential on this game here. One team wins and they can move forward. The other team probably gets ready to shut it down and shut down shop for sure. 58% of the bets, 55% of the cash coming in on the Jaguars. I share the splits with you guys so you can see where the volatility or where the concern is from the marketplace. And look, they align with what Shark's got to say. They've got 3.5, moved down to 1.5 on these Jaguars. And in some cases now it's flipped in that they're in fact a favorite. So do some line shopping. 69% of the bets, 65% of the cash are on the over. It's come down. It's another one of those divisional games. Sitting in the late season here or second half of the season. So I certainly can support this game going to the under. I got to just look at this game and say, I care less. I mean, I don't care if either of these teams make the playoffs or not. I mean, look, the under is a great play here. I think certainly Jacksonville 11-0 to the under. If they've got 5 days of rest or more, they're against a conference opponent and they had over 333 yards the previous game. They're 15-0 to the under. If they had more than 7 rushing first downs the previous game and less than 200 rushing yards. What does that mean to me when you look at this thing? Well, that means they were able to move the chains, but they weren't busting off long runs. So they're just grinding it out. They're in the trenches. They're trying to fight the game. 35 is the average points that they're seeing in those spots, and the Texans are 8-0 to the under. If they scored less than 14 points versus the opponent the last time they played. So there's a divisional situation, lower scoring opportunity. I'd have to look to the under or nothing for me in this game.
I completely agree. I have the under officially at 37.5. And as I mentioned, you saw these teams play early season 17-10. Davis Mills is not an upgrade from C.J. Stroud, just to remind people who might be trying to bet the Texans here. And I had to remind myself last night, Davis Mills was actually the starter for Houston from week 3, 2021 till week 18, 2022. Houston actually kind of gave him the reins here for 2 full seasons before drafting CJ Stroud, top 3, 2023. So we actually have a big sample for this guy. Stanford quarterback, now just, your quintessential backup, but 1-16-1 straight up in his career at home. That is egregious. 1-16-1. And you talk about this actual matchup in this division. We talked about this going back to the game in Jacksonville. This matchup has actually been dominated by the road team. Trevor Lawrence is 3-0 ATS last 3 at NRG Stadium. Took a loss last year as a 6.5-point dog, 24-20. The previous 2 years, outright wins with emphasis. And I really think this is a nice buy low on the Jags. The Jags actually come into this game 0-3 ATS last 3. We tried to buy them last week. They were up 30-23 in overtime. Mike and I were actually cheersing to a win. And all of a sudden, Geno Smith's driving for a late touchdown, Brock Bowers corner of the end zone. I was blown away. I could not believe that was actually a rule change. Mike, just go back on that for a second. How absurd was that?
You and I were both like, how is this not, I thought that you scored the touchdown and I guess at first I thought that the Raiders had the ball first. And I guess I just misread that piece of it, but I was just disgusted. And then of course I'm saying, points don't matter in the game, Shark. And at the same time, guess what happens? They do matter in this thing. If you were laying the 2 or the 2.5, you took the L because, shout out to the Raiders. They went for 2. I got to appreciate that. You got to respect that they went for it. At the end of the day, what's a tie do this organization? They're kind of busted up and out of it anyway. So, was a heck of a, I'll tell you what, Geno Smith surprised me a little bit that game. And then he followed it back up, feeling a little better about himself there against Denver on Thursday night, 10-7, but they were up a lot of that game as well. So I was blown away. That's a shit overtime rule.
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away. I honestly didn't know there was a rule change, so I was very displeased, to put it mildly. But beautiful thing is we get another chance to do it today. I think this rate buy low now. 0-3 ATS, could have covered last week clearly under rules from last year. And 2 previous losses, just blown out against the NFC West in London. Rams 35-7, home game going to London, the game before 20-12 against Seattle. That's a quality. That's a quality shift, change, environmental opponent quality. They're just better than the Texans currently. You saw this last week. When Davis Mills came into the game against Bo Nix and the Broncos, he could do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is going to be a really low-scoring game. I think the Jags win this game somewhere in the range of what you saw in the previous game, 17-9, 19-12, something real low. Truthfully, I have the game graded to 31 points. 19-12 would be my exact score here. Jags will get the win. Buy low, fade Davis Mills, and let's cash. Next game on the card, another divisional game. Final game at 1 o'clock. Miami Gardens, Hard Rock Stadium. Bills at Dolphins, round 2. You saw this matchup earlier this year in Buffalo in prime time. Buffalo laid about 10-10.5. 11 did not cover the spread very tight, 31-21. Basically your same line now. I think this is kind of a push game. I really don't like this game. Mike, I know you're from that area. The Bills are clearly a bye team. Miami in disarray. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm big on some things I love. Line functionality. When you talk about how the game indexes from previous experiences, I like to look at these spots where there's potential projection on look-aheads and letdowns. And this is that letdown feeling for me. I got the 9.5 on the Dolphins. Believe it or not, I'm a Bills guy on the AFC team. Eagles on the NFC, but this line just came down from 9.5 to 8.5. 85% of the bets, 64% of the cash are coming in on the Bills. Sharper money coming in on the Dolphins. I'll tell you why in a second. 48.5 on the total's gone up to 50. You got 49% of the bets, 54% of the cash coming in on that over. Divisional game. It's late in the season and it's outdoors. So that does suggest an under, but not so fast. Both these teams can be explosive. I think this is a situation where if clearly without a doubt, you look at what Buffalo's been doing out there, producing runs. You see, Cook's been on fire. Let Cook cook. And, certainly Josh Allen's been doing much of the same, but, a lot of familiarity based on the fact that they are divisional opponents and second best rush defense as of recent form are these Miami Dolphins. I think they get your guy, Josh Allen, a little off guard, a little off foot. And I think, this is an opportunity for him to throw a turnover in this game. Granted, he's been really kind of minimizing some of that faulty exposure, but word on the street was they tried to get Jalen Waddle at the trade deadline. They were willing to give a first-round draft pick for 2027. And the Dolphins said, no, we want the 2026 first round draft pick. So I don't know if that's going to play any part or not with these rumors coming out for this Bills game here. But this just after that beatdown of Kansas City and that glorious victory that was, they got their points. They got what they needed out there. This Miami Dolphins organization, yes, they've made some trades. That being said, though, they still showed confidence in McDaniels. They said he's going to stick around through the end of the year. Tua's kind of got his shit back in check. And, if a team's going to go out there and shut down the Bills, you have to force Josh Allen to be kind of one-dimensional with that pass. And look what this Miami Dolphins team's done. They've held guys like Kareem Hunt. They've held, Judkins, Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry, all combining for less than 4 yards a carry. That's going to be a tough spot for Josh Allen. I like the turnover with Josh Allen, but I like the Dolphins at the +9.5 for this game here. I think this is a tighter game than this projected when it comes to this initial line that was being put out there. And last but not least, Josh Allen, when he gets to those double digits, is a tricky spot. 8 games visiting teams, 2-6 when you see Sean McDermott in this dog type of a role. I like this opportunity for the Dolphins, and I hate the Dolphins, so it takes a lot for me to come off the perch to say that.
Yeah, this game for me is really tough. Honestly, I could see it. It's definitely a trap for the Bills, obviously, beating Kansas City last week. At the same time, the Bills, in my opinion, are a bye. They were 1-5 ATS for 6 weeks in the early season window. 2-0 ATS last 2. Did clean up the Panthers in kind of a similar funky spot, 40-9 2 weeks ago. I don't really have a take on this game. I think this is tough. I think the psychology for Miami here is very unique. I think Stephen Ross, the owner, is not really doing the team any positive service by holding on to McDaniel. If he's going to fire him at the end of the year, if he plans on giving him another season, fine. But if you're going to fire the guy, just cut it now. Move on. Don't let them hang in purgatory for the next 7 to 8 weeks. You fire the GM. Like, for me, it's just, why do you fire the GM? Mike, talk to me.
Maybe this is a situation where, the next GM is going to bring in the coach that he wants, right? And then I guess bad breath is better than no breath. I used to have a boss that would say that all the time when it came to letting some of the employees go there. He was like, if you can't get rid of everybody, he's like, bad breath is better than no breath. And I said, all right, well, I guess I could agree with that. The problem that I have with McDaniels is he's too much, he's like the same age as some of these guys. And so he's kind of the player's coach. And when it comes time to be that leader, I talked about this, critical on some of these guys that aren't leaders, where I feel like there's no leadership in an organization like the New York Jets. I get critical of that spot. So I guess bad breath's no better than no breath, Shark. But I would have gotten rid of this guy. I would have said, bring a defensive coordinator in there to run the team for the rest of the year. And let's get a GM that knows that he's going to be able to go. You get prime pickings for a GM if he knows that he gets to bring in his own coach and there's no loyalties to anything else in the organization. He can truly craft it and build it from his own, which draws some big talent and some big names. Miami's a nice place to be year round out there. You don't have to deal with shoveling your driveway. And just didn't make sense to me that they kept McDaniels. I thought, Shark, coming out of the bye, this guy's out of there. And,
yeah, I mean, I've been saying this since he got hired a couple of years ago. He's a good coordinator. He's smart. He went to Yale. Right, fantastic. He's not a leader of men. The two don't exclusively come together. You can be very smart and not be a good leader, and that's what he is. So he should never be in front of 53 guys in a professional locker room ever again. And it's no shade to the guy. It's just not who he is. He doesn't have that energy, that ability to really juice the group up. And you see it. They're just flat. I talked about this last week and the week before. Just how quickly this has flipped against the Dolphins. This was a team that blew out the Broncos 70-20 2 years ago, 70-20. And now they can do absolutely nothing. They scored less than 10 points in their most recent game against Baltimore. It's a mess. Let the guy go. And Mike, just even on the coaching change, just put an interim coach in there. Yeah. Just something. Just change the energy in the locker room. And final point on this, I think Tua's out the door as well. I mean, I think this is kind of just press conference after press conference. Tua kind of just almost throwing shade at the group, unreliable. We can't even have a meeting. This is not. And again, you got to remember, also an Alabama product. We talk about the pedigree. He expects better. He's got to perform, but he expects better. He's been served a little low-level sauce here. Tough game, but good conversation. And it is going into the 4:00 slate. We got a little break.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure you share the thumbs up button for us out there. Share the video. Tell your friends. Tell your family. The fastest 50 in the business here, giving you guys a full breakdown, trying to answer your questions in the chat, recognizing your best bets as well. All we ask you to do in return, simply show some appreciation by way of the thumbs up, fellas.
4 o'clock slate, keeping it moving. More divisional football. Lumen Field in Seattle, 4:05. Cardinals at Seahawks. Also the second matchup of the year. Data abundant, but maybe a little skewed data here. You got a quarterback change for the Cardinals. Sit down Kyler Murray. Enter Jacoby Brissett. We were joking about it before. Jacoby Brissett in these commercials, backup quarterback, coming to do lifestyle chores for people. Now he's performing on an actual football field. 3-0 ATS last 3. Crazily to say, I mean, this guy, going back to his draft year, coming out of NC State, Bill Parcells, the legend, the guy that sort of taught Bill Belichick how to do work, actually was on record saying that Jacoby Brissett was the best quarterback prototype he ever saw at the combine, which is outrageous. Clearly hasn't translated to his career, but he is covering spreads. This line, in my opinion, could have gotten steamed out of the stadium here a little bit, sitting at +6.5. I could see Arizona keeping it close. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a great Arizona spot. You know, talk about that flat spot, that look ahead spot, talk about changing the energy. There was that question, you know, Kyler Murray's our guy and Jacoby Brissett. I'm with you. I coming out of the combine, this guy, I like the mobility. I like the dual threat. He had zip on the ball. There's a lot of great things that he was doing out there. And, you know, I just don't think sometimes it takes you a little bit of time. Look at Danny Dimes here. The guy's out there, you know, setting NFL records galore now. It just takes a little time to find that right place for you. And Kyler Murray's not a tall enough guy. We've talked about that. He certainly likes his Call of Duty. And if you guys know that trend, that's a certain factor as well. But here's a leadership situation. Is he the leader for that organization? We've seen coaching changes with that Arizona Cardinals as well. And on this flip side of this thing here, Brissett comes in. They just put Murray on the IR. So he's got 4 weeks that he will be minimized at least here. 69% of the bets, 73% of the cash are on the Seahawks. It has moved to a touchdown, a full tutty. 45.5 down to 44.5 in some markets with 67% of the bets and 68% of the cash on the over. Cardinals for me in this spot, man. I think this is a great, you got a Seahawks team. Certainly respect what they're doing. I think that, or, you know, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a great candidate to score a touchdown. I saw a couple of you guys asking about that. They just made the trade for Shaheed, so they're trying to stabilize that deep threat down the field out there. I like Araya. There's a lot of things to like about this Seahawks team, but there's not a lot to like about this spot. They just had that big win at Washington. They're 4-1 in their last 5 games, and they just won a tight matchup back on September 25th against this Arizona Cardinals team. Granted, that was in Arizona 23-20, but second game around, you talked about this earlier, and not to mention, Arizona just had a really confident beatdown of that Dallas Cowboys team, 27-17 in Jerry World. They're not afraid to go on the road. Again, this is one of those situations on the road. Does it make a difference for your guy out there? Well, not really. I mean, Jacoby Brissett probably still has his shit in a box from moving the last time he got traded out there. So not a big deal for me in that regard. You know, divisional unders, again, very much a situation, 23-20. This line being set around 45 kind of speaks to me in terms of a lower scoring game, but I'm going to take the 7, man. I think this is a situation where we have a live dog that's capable of barking. The energy has changed, and I think the Cardinals are ready to go in this game here. Look at them getting themselves qualified for playoff potential. So give me the Cardinals. Give me the 7.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little tough game. I definitely trust your take here. You know, truthfully, I think there's a little bit of, you're finding sustainability here with Brissett. I mean, this is game after game, and these are pretty quality opponents, too. He's just come in and started covering against. Go back to week 6 at Indianapolis, 31-27 loss. That's the same line range, too, right around +7, +7.5. Really tight game. And Arizona did outgain the Colts in that game, 400-355. Very similar line structure at home against Green Bay, +6.5. 27-23. Arizona outgained Green Bay in that game. And, of course, beating Dallas. I just think that this is a competitive uptick for the quarterback situation with Arizona. And, you know, I think Kyler Murray has played his last game with this franchise. There's a lot of documentation. He's got, you know, in the offseason, a contract. The team can buy in for another year at a high price point. Obviously, he did sign a huge contract going back about 4 or 5 years. I mean, at this point, Kyler Murray is a failed project in the NFL. And it's actually crazy to say, going back to when he was coming out of Oklahoma, you remember it was Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury was talking about how he wanted to recruit and coach Murray in college. Yeah. He couldn't do it. And then Kingsbury sold the Cardinals. Listen, it didn't happen in college. Let me coach the team. We'll draft Murray. We'll do it, 2.0 in the NFL. It's been awful. Kingsbury got fired quickly. He's had 2 jobs since, and Murray's been sitting here just keeping this team in mediocrity for 8 years now. I mean, Mike, talk about a failed project, right?
That's a great way to put it, man. That's one of those situations where it's like he just had such he was so committed to getting, he just had some fascination with Murray, and and just made everybody else kind of go along with it. Ultimately, it cost him his job. And so you own it now. And I mean, that guy, though, I'm not going to feel bad for Cliff Kingsbury, man. If you go look at that guy's dating resume, he does nothing but deliver gold. And good luck to him. But yeah, I think Murray's done. I think you're right on. It's tough. Sometimes, I don't know if you're of this school of thought or not, right? Can you lose your job as a starting quarterback if you get injured? I believe you can. I mean, look, if somebody comes out there and plays their ass off and you're just not reliable or dependable, especially this guy's been retreaded 3 or 4 times, onward, upward for these Arizona Cardinals. And I think it's Jacoby Brissett. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the most noteworthy of all time in that situation, Drew Bledsoe, after 9/11/2021, gets drilled by Mo Lewis at Old Foxborough Stadium. Tom Brady comes in. Sorry, Bledsoe, not getting your job back, bro. And just final point on this, in terms of the actual psychology, Kyler Murray actually reminds me of Mike McDaniel, coach for the Dolphins.
Yeah,
very subdued, quiet, not a leader. And you need a locker room guy, the head coach. The quarterback has to be able to go in the huddle and juice him up. The guy is just way too soft of a personality. And it's crazy to say he actually had a lot of documentation that he almost played professional baseball.
Yeah.
His actual, personal energy and his mental, he would have been better on a baseball field. You don't need to be this like super high energy guy. So Kyler, maybe it's time to revisit baseball. I don't know, but we'll keep it moving. Next game on the card, more divisional football. Also in this division, interesting, we got all 4 NFC West opponents playing each other in week 10. Rams at Niners, also part 2. Niners did beat the Rams prime time early season, Thursday Night Football, 26-23 in overtime. This is going to be an interesting game. You get a revenge game from the Rams. You get a short line. Niners are a bye team at this point. Looks like Mac Jones has found some wind here. Just the continuous quarterback carousel. We talked about this before with Danny Jones and some of these other guys, Mayfield, Darnold. Some of these high draft picks, all of a sudden 5 years later, they look great. It's just crazy how it's never really over until it's over in the NFL. That all being said, I think you're going to see a lot of points in this game. My top look in this game is the over. Previous game went over in overtime, 26-23. I don't think you're going to need it this week. I don't think we need overtime. I think both teams are scoring the ball at will, and defense will be difficult. Mike, any thoughts?
Weird line movement here, right? The Rams on the road, they open as a 1.5-point dog. Now that's look ahead stuff. So bear that in mind. I think it's important to get the very first number so that you can kind of see how that's indexed or how that's transgressed or transpired since the initial uptick from what Vegas thought. Now we know there's quarterback changes, there's injury factors, there's all kinds of shit going on that can contribute to why that line moves, but it's now as high as a 6 in favor of the Rams with 50-50 on the bets. But 62% of the cash coming in on the Ram side of things here. Total's gone from 46.5 as high as 49.5. So look, you got 58% of the bets coming in on the under, but 52% of the money, some bigger bets coming in on that over. They agree with you in points. Makes me a little nervous when it comes to these divisional spots out there, but this is one of those games where I was looking at it and I thought, how can I see myself being in a position to get in on the 49ers? And I like what Mac Jones is doing out there. I just can't get there. I don't have it. This is a game I just didn't have any play. I'm going to go with whatever you have to say for us in this one.
Yeah, giving you guys over 49.5. That's an official play. And truthfully, I just think it's also a great buy low on the Rams. The Rams are actually 3-0 last 3 versus the under, but it's not because they haven't scored. They just lit up the Saints 34-10. Previously in London, 35-7. So the Rams are performing great offensively. They've just really held these opponents to no points. Go back to the previous week. Of course, as I mentioned, 3-0 versus the under last 3. 17-3 win, week 6 at Baltimore. Tyler Huntley. So they've had 3 straight unders because of Tyler Huntley, Trevor Lawrence in London playing terribly, and first career start, Mike's guy, Tyler Show. So this is not exactly a Hall of Fame lineup of situational quarterback play that they're getting these unders against. I just think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. San Francisco's been explosive with Mac Jones, even going back last year when Mac was actually the backup for Jacksonville. He's just a gunslinger. And we discussed this with Joe Flacco and a lot of these other backups. They play a higher risk style of football when they do get this opportunity, because they know that their time is fleeting and they have to make it happen right now. So they press more. Other guys, Jake Browning with Burrow hurt, these backups, it just becomes a chuck fest. And that is really what it is. Mac Jones knows he's probably not the long-term solution for San Francisco. He's got to make it happen right now. He has to do it with his arm downfield, put tape on record. You're going to see a big-time game here, 425. Take the over and let's cash. Final game at 425. Before we go to the nightcap, Lions at Commanders in Landover, Maryland. This is a big-time spot, in my opinion. I have the colors on here. Mike also has the colors on. This, for me, is absolutely a Lions spot. I have a lot of details on this. I'll throw it to Mike, though. What's going on here?
Revenge-minded opponent, and we've seen the coach on the Lions side of things likes to kick the shit out of people to send a message. 89% of the bets have come in on the Lions, 84% of the cash. This total, 49.5, kind of oscillating around 49.5. We see some 49s. You have 64% of the bets, 71% of the cash. This is a big number, right? And this is a very public play, and I think it makes sense. Again, you got a motivated team that just wants to exact their play. They got knocked out of the playoffs last year by these Commanders. Granted, it was the Jaden Daniels-led Commanders. Now, I talked a little bit about the Spencer Rattler to my new boy out there in New Orleans. Look, Jaden Daniels being replaced in this game. I heard a great line earlier this week that said, how much production do we have to replace? And now that this injury is coming in there, they're readjusting the number accordingly. I don't know if I believe in all of that or not, but I'll tell you what I do believe in is the Lions to go out there and put some points on the board, man. They got that two-headed monster between Montgomery and Gibbs. I think Gibbs is a great touchdown candidate this week out there. Look at the points. Seahawks, they put up 38 against Washington out there. They've given up 29 points or more just about every week of the season. So give me the Lions. Give me the Lions team total over 29.5 points. In fact, I think you can get a 28.5 out there. It might be a little juicy, but I don't think these boys have any problem going over 30 points. You look at the history, look at what they've done. They continue to put points on the board. They want to dominate. They're motivated. And matter of fact, I think 6 of their last 7, if I'm not, let me see what the number was I had out there. Shoot, I can't find it now. Yeah. Gone over 6 of the last 9 times they've gone over 30 points. So here we go. 9-0 against the spread when they're not more than a 9-point favorite. And on a 2 or more game losing streak. I think this is a great Lions spot, man, but I'm going to take the team total. Give me the over 29.5.
Yeah, you're talking about, this bounce back and all this stuff and this anger. I mean, for me, this is an elite spot. This is right there with Baltimore. Detroit is really pretty much a win and cover team this campaign. They're 5-3 straight up, 5-3 ATS. If they win the game, they cover. And their outright wins this year, 5, are by an average of 18.2 points per game. And it's what Mike said. They just unload on teams. And I think they're going to unload on the Commanders here. As Mike mentioned, you get a revenge game from the playoffs. Lions 1 seed last year in January, indoors in Detroit, Ford Field, just laid an egg. There's no way around it. They actually had 521 yards in the game against this Washington defense, put up 31 points, but they lost the turnover battle 5-0. 5 turnovers by the Lions. 3 Goff picks, 1 pick 6, another fumble by Goff, and they got kind of desperate in the second half. Ran some sort of wide receiver option play. Jamison Williams threw an interception. How the hell does Jamison Williams throw an interception? That's how chaotic the game was. This is going to center itself. And Mike, I think you made a great point with Jahmyr Gibbs. That game got out of hand so quickly, trying to be way too aggressive and way too cute with all the interceptions. And then it just kind of doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on itself. It just got more desperate and more impatient, thus the more turnovers. They're going to come out here with a different scheme. They're going to try to run the ball, and they're going to really focus on Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery, I believe, is not playing. It's going to be a Gibbs game. He's going to go over 100 yards. He could have multiple touchdowns in this game. I think you could actually ladder that. I think he might get 2 today. And final point on this, actually 2 more points. In the last window of time here, since the Lions became the Lions we know now, elite team under Dan Campbell, they're 12-0 ATS off a previous straight-up loss. That is a gigantic sample. When they lose, they come back gigantic. And the final point on this, Washington is 3-6. They're 3-6, having lost 4 straight games. This is not a buy low. They just got absolutely blown out. Sunday Night Football against Seattle. Short week, theoretically, late game, less prep Monday. Got to play the Lions. And then they have to go to Madrid to play the Dolphins next week. It's a terrible trap spot before Europe travel. And Marcus Mariota has been abysmal. 0-3 ATS in games he has played fully this year. This is all over the Lions. It is a gigantic spot. Take it and let's cash. Final game on the card. We are going Sunday Night Football, and we're going to SoFi Stadium, Inglewood. Steelers, Chargers. It's funny. I'm talking about the colors here. We have the Lions colors on. We also have the Chargers colors. How convenient, Mike. I mean, this is some serious New York Fashion Week type of stuff here. We're pulling on a suddenly not so casual Sunday. I'll throw it to you. I like the Chargers. What's going on here?
Great. Sunday Night Football, man, we deserve a good one here. Certainly we've dealt with our share of mediocre spots, and 67% of the bets, 68% of the cash, like these Steelers. I concur. The big news for me, and I'll look at the total here really quick as well. 43.5 has gone to 45s, 80% of the bets and 74% of the cash. Look, you give Mike Tomlin a situation where he's got to go out there and, win this game by a field goal. I mean, we saw some previous seasons where he struggles to get that kicking going. I talked about this guy 2 weeks ago, and I'll talk about him again because he is a factor in this game. It's Alt. And when Alt's not in there, it's an all stop for this LA Chargers team. And what are you going to do? Ask Herbert to continue to go out there and carve teams up? Well, he could do that. And he's done a great deal with Gadsden as far as the tight ends concerned. But look, Alt's a big deal. You're losing running backs. You're losing offensive linemen. You got Najee Harris, maybe motivated, for a revenge spot, but he's out. He's got the Achilles injury. So I don't know what's going on with this Chargers team, but to me, I'm a sell on the Chargers. I'm a buy on the 2.5 here. I think the Steelers win this game outright, but I'll take the 2.5 in the back pocket.
It's funny. We disagreed on Sunday Night Football, I believe, last week or the week before. It also involved the Steelers, crazily enough. Green Bay at Pittsburgh. I disagree here. I actually like the Chargers in this game. A couple points on it. I've been talking about this every week. For me, Pittsburgh is just a great statistical sell. They're getting outgained this season. Opponents, 3,070 yards. Steelers only 2,305. That is plus 765 for the opponents. Pittsburgh is, for me, basically, Mike, if we went down to the casino right now and some guy had been up for 3.5 days at the craps table, he was blackout drunk, but up $50,000, we'd say, how the hell is this guy up 50 grand? A lot of luck. And truthfully, the Steelers have been extremely opportunistic in turnovers. Last week, the Colts, 6 turnovers and still only lost the game by 7 points. If you have 6 turnovers in your favor, Pittsburgh should have won that game by 25, 30 points. And final point on this, I just like buying low on the Chargers. I understand Joe Alt, elite offensive lineman, is not in. Chargers are 1-5 ATS last 6. That is a buy low for a John Harbaugh team. And Herbert, only time they covered recently, home game, prime time, out of division. I gave it to you guys officially against Minnesota. Same line, -3, 37-10. I think this is where Pittsburgh has it coming to them. It's also a revenge game. Last year, early season, September 22nd, week 3, Pittsburgh 20, Chargers 10 in Pittsburgh. Key point on the line, Pittsburgh was favored in that game, -2.5. Books got it right. Now they flipped the other direction. Chargers -2.5. Final point on this, in that particular game, Justin Herbert had a high ankle sprain, and he really was hobbled. He couldn't even finish the game. It was a 10-10 game in the third quarter. He got pulled, and Pittsburgh opened up in the fourth against a backup quarterback for the Chargers. John Harbaugh is going to remember this. Herbert couldn't finish the game last year. Herbert's going to remember this. They're 1-5 ATS last 6. The line's on it. Mike, another battle in the evening here, and it always involves the Steelers. Why does it have to always involve the Steelers? Do you like the Steelers? What?
I can't stand the Steelers, and I can't stand Mike Tomlin. I just think that they're one of those – look – they went out there, they spent a ton of money in the offseason, and they bought age, and that brings experience. Now, the challenge for Tomlin is he's got to coach a team now that isn't so much get in his face and scream at him, but just kind of sit back and expect them to be professionals. And I think if you treat them that way, we still have Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball around out there. But I don't know, man. I'm not a Steelers guy. I can tell you that. I'm not a Penguins guy. I'm not a Steelers guy. I can't really stand it, but shout out to all our friends from Pittsburgh. So it'll be a fun game. At least we have a little vetted interest in what's going on here, Shark. Let's move her. Let's keep her rolling, brother.
Yeah, just one final point on this game. Any thoughts on the total?
Not really.
I have a take. I will give
Go
it.
ahead. Give it to us.
This is an over spot for me.
Okay.
If you look at Pittsburgh on the road in recent history, just really high totals, particularly in some of these games against gunslinging quarterbacks. And we can definitely call Herbert a gunslinging quarterback at this point. 33-31 at Cincinnati. You're going to see a high-scoring game. That game last year was 20-10, very low. Key point books also nailed that line. 36.5 projected under. 1 year removed, we're sitting at 45.5. I think it's going to be a big primetime game. And just going back to that Green Bay game a couple weeks ago, 35-25. Kelly said it. Steelers defense equals trash. They give up a ton of yards, chunk yards. You're going to see a lot of points in this game. Take the over and the Chargers. Mike likes the Steelers. Let's dominate. Mike, 57 minutes. We got the chat fired up here. I think in the coming weeks, as we said, we'll build the Q&A section. But let's talk best bets.
Let's go.
Sundays are for the Sharps. It is NFL Week 10. The Shark and Mikey Money NFL Betting Blitz. Mike, best bets.
Best bets. I got two for you guys. I am on them. Arizona Cardinals. I got the +7. I think that's a great spot for us to take advantage of. I'm going to get, you know what? I got a third one too. I'm going to take that Detroit Lions. I like that team total over 29.5. And I'll wrap you guys up with one more. I'm going to go with you on that Tampa Bay over. I'm in. I'm convinced that's an over spot for us here. 47.5, 48.5, 49, whatever. Let's go. Let's get it done. Let's have ourselves a glorious Sunday, Shark. Great job, my dude. What you got for us?
Absolutely. I'll give you guys 4. And these are really elite spots, as we've talked about for close to an hour here. You guys can sense the energy is super high here on November 9th. Baltimore -3.5. Detroit -7.5. Chargers -2.5. And over 44.5 Pittsburgh Chargers. That's 4 for me, couple for Mike. 6 plays. I got a bunch of plays on X. Mike has a ton as well. We go into the immense detail we love to do and bring you guys the high energy. Mike, give him a few words, and I will close it out.
Show, share, like, support. Do all the rest of it. Check out the Sports Money channel at YouTube, man. We got things going on all over the place here. An opportunity to dominate, as my friend here says, and man, Mikey Money and the Shark, where else would you rather be on Sunday to get this thing kicked off? A full card breakdown, best bets, analysis, some back and forth, but I think you guys got some great data out of this. So again, show the support. Make sure you like it. Support the channel. Support the cause. Support the show. And we'll keep coming back, giving you guys more best bets.
Yeah, our guy Blake says 3-leg anytime touchdown parlay. Definitely Jahmyr Gibbs. That's one I love. Mike, any other thoughts on that real quick for our guy?
Yeah, you got to go Gibbs. I think that's a great look too. Let me see what else I got there for you guys. Oh man, let's go with how about Lamar Jackson to run one in there for us. We'll take a rushing touchdown for Lamar Jackson, not a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown for Lamar Jackson. And you got a third? You want a third, or I could look for a third.
You know, truthfully, I didn't go into it in detail. Of course, I got Blake, probably just throwing a little pizza money on this for fun. Truthfully, I think one of the Bills receivers will get one. I like Khalil Shakir potentially. I think he might go in Miami. You'll get plus odds on that too. And have fun with it again. Don't go nuts. 3-team parlay, plus odds. But Gibbs, Tarek B here says Henry as well. That's probably more of a lock, to be honest. Henry always goes in. I love Gibbs. I like Henry as well. Shakir is a little more speculative. You know what? Next week we'll definitely detail this a little more, and we'll get, as we said, Q&A, maybe a parlay, and all that going. But want to wrap it up here. It is 12 noon on the East Coast, 9 o'clock Pacific. We're going to the second half here in Berlin. Appreciate you guys in the chat as we ramp up the show in coming weeks and years. We will get you guys much more involved, and the energy will be equally as high, if not better than it is now. It is now Sunday afternoon, week 10 of 2025, November the 9th. For Mike, I am the Shark. It is NFL, the Betting Blitz. Stay fast, stay strong, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.